Hi, I'm Miss Larson. On this channel, I have been just putting my lesson videos that I show to the kids, but I really wanted to kind of open it up to talk more with teachers. All my best mentors during my internship always said, you have to make this job work for you. And I found a way to do that, and things were going really, really fabulous. And then I switched schools, and everything I thought I knew about my job changed. And I was very surprised. I went from a private school to now I'm in a public school. Before I had pre-K through 8th grade, and now I have K through 3rd grade. And I'm just really surprised at everything that's changed. So I wanted to kind of do some videos more where I kind of talk about the projects that I do, what has worked for me, what hasn't, and hopefully can get some comments from other teachers to help me and to help you all kind of just discover what is going to work for our current population. So one of the first things I want to talk about is one of my most popular videos, which is the circle weaving or radial weaving project. And I have some kids that have been working on it. They still have another week of this. In my old school, they all, 99% of them turned out like this. Kids were, especially boys, really love this project. Kids were coming to me saying, I'm gonna be a weaver when I grow up. And the kids were coming in after school and getting some more yarn. One group, they loved it so much, I let them take these with them. Their looms were completely full. Nobody forgot them for art class. They all brought them back. It was great. The next year I tried it at the same school. The next year I tried it, and kids were forgetting stuff like crazy. And it was kind of a disaster. This year, I'm at a new school. I have not let the kids take them home. We've just been doing it in art class. I feel like the sweet spot for this project, I started it 2nd quarter, but I really think 3rd quarter is what I normally do, and it's really the best place to put that, at least for me. Like, it's cold and yarn is just so cozy, and I don't know, it works out really well. The kids have been in school long enough to be able to do, I did this with 2nd grade this year. In the past, I've done it with 2nd and 3rd. But since this year I only go K through 3, I was kind of doing a different thing for 3rd grade. The nice thing about this, the easy thing, so you think you don't have to turn corners like in a traditional weaving that's like a rectangle. You're only going over, under, over, under. In my old school, I never had any issues, but the old school was a small private school. They did not have any special ed because they didn't have the support for it. So what I ran into this year really surprised me, because I had a lot of, like, these two kids have had the same amount of in-class time. I started drawing arrows on theirs just to let them know what, direction we're going. And so I had a conversation with the teacher. One class in particular had a lot of struggles. She recommended that I talk with the special ed teacher in the school. And so I spoke with her, and she explained to me that what I'm seeing in this is a true disability, because these kids are having issues with crossing the midline. And so even though it seems easy, it's just over, under, but that patterning and the crossing the midline makes it really difficult. So some of the strategies that she suggested were to put a thicker tape at the end, even more substantial than this, so that they can really grab that. These I recommend in the video for adding beads. Bad news is that, yeah, it's a true disability, and some kids really struggle with knowing what direction to go in and feeling frustrated. Meanwhile, you've got a ton of happy kids just having the time of their lives. The good news is, once the kids get the routine, which honestly I asked the special ed teacher to come help me in one class in particular. They had several kids that were really struggling, and she was able to come help me out. And after that class, so they had an extra hour of the weaving, they had 2 adults in there saying, okay, now over, okay, now under, okay, now over. Eventually, they got it. I was really proud of them, that a lot of them did get it. And then also another option that I do in the classroom is that I let them know on the last day, and especially for kids like this that are just so over it. They've tried, and it's just really a disability for them. I give them markers, and they can color and design in here as well. And also, we just kind of tuck the last string under I don't even know where this kid's is, but yeah, so you just tuck it under here and it stays perfectly fine. So those are my tips on weaving. I would love to hear other people's tips, like some challenges I feel like for the classroom, yarn distribution. What I normally do is have them cut it as tall as they are. I've seen online another teacher that would go ahead and pre-cut strips and just kind of hang them. She had a little metal cart with magnetic hooks, and she would just string the yarns on there, and so kids would just come up and get a yarn. I feel like that would be a really good solution. I wanted to try that this year, but I didn't get it together enough to pre-cut all the yarn because that also seems like a lot of work. I try to make my job easy on myself, but plus also I want the kids to learn how to do things. But then I guess you just have to decide which battles you want to fight. So I was also picking through a lot of tangles. I had one system in my old school where I had just all the yarn lined up neatly with the tail sticking out, and this has probably been my best system. I had one of those cardboard, like normally it's a paper holder thing, and it was the perfect size to just stuff some yarns in there and then let the tail hang out, and that was a really good way to kind of keep it organized. That was at my old school. So you know, just based on the space in your classroom, and I just don't have that kind of space here anymore to keep something like that. But I think having them in a tub would work as long as it's full, because then if it's not full, I don't know. I would love to hear any comments on organizing yarn or how you've made weaving. What time of year do you feel like is good? Which projects do you do when? So this year I'm not doing anything for kindergarten. I'm doing paper weaving for first grade, which I have not done yet. This was for second grade. So for third grade, they did these. These looms are so nice. I was so excited when I came to the school and she had them until I tried using them, because I have just till third grade. Like, these would be a dream for fifth grade, I feel like, or fourth grade, maybe even. Maybe I just did it too early in the year, but that's what the old teacher had done, so I kind of was just kind of following what she had done. But I think we're just totally different people. So like I said, what she had been working really well for her just did not work for me. So she pre-warped all of these and had them ready for the kids, and they just started weaving, which means that she had to take home like 125 looms and warp them all. And, you know, I have a baby at home, and I don't know. I mean, you could do it watching TV. I did it. I took some home and I warped about 2 classes worth, like about 50, you know, and then I just decided I don't want to do this. I want the kids to learn how to do it. Normally kids love weaving, but I do usually end up having kids go home and make their own looms. So in the past, I would use something like this in 5th grade, and I have a video on how to do the pouches, or several disjointed videos on how to do the pouches. I did this with 5th grade, and those were really fun. Once I did it 4th quarter, which was a massive mistake because some of them just didn't get done. So I felt like 3rd quarter was the sweet spot to do this for 5th grade, to make a pouch. For 4th grade in my old school, I had a wider version of this, closer to this size. The reason why I think I like the cardboard better is that on these peg looms, if the kids don't warp it tight enough, and even if they do, and they're pulling too tight, these are so easy to pop off these pegs for the little super beginner weavers. For anybody old, like 5th grade, they could handle this like a dream. Anybody older, these peg looms are amazing. So beautiful. But just with my little 3rd graders, I felt like this was so much nicer, because some kids where they just kept continuously popping all their warp strings off their loom. On these, I could just tape it to the back and they'd be fine. So I did have a couple of these in my classroom that I transferred kids to who were really struggling. A lot of kids did great, but that's the thing about knowing your population, knowing your school. I had enough kids not do great on these to where it was really frustrating for me, where I was used to weaving being kind of like kick back, relax, just enjoy the kids, like listen to their happy chatter. It almost kind of soothed them, I feel like, to do this. But this year it was really pretty stressful. I mean, it was 2020, so maybe that was part of it, but I feel like this is kind of advanced for 3rd grade. I don't know. I mean, like this kid did really, really well, but then I had several kids that were frustrated by it, and I hate that. I want to have everybody feel successful. So I would be super interested to hear what weaving you have done with kids, at what grades, what has worked for you. So if anybody has any advice for me, I would love to hear it. I hope my advice has been somewhat helpful to you, and I'll link to the other weaving classroom videos that I have on here. And leave any comments, and please subscribe. If you like this, I'm gonna do more videos where I talk about the teacher's perspective and what works and what doesn't work in the art classroom.